All right, think outside the box. What's all this? Think outside the box. We are our final week of our series, Think Outside the Box. And if you don't know who I am Van. I'm honored to give you the word today. And I just want to encourage you real quick. It has nothing to do with the message, but during worship, where it says, I am who you say I am. That was good for me. He says, I am who you say I am. And that speaks to our identity in Christ. You are who he says you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You're not a failure, you're a conqueror in Christ. His thoughts exceed every grain of sand on the beaches of Guam for you. Isn't that wonderful? That his thoughts for you have no number. I am who you say I am. That's just awesome. I just wanted to give you that this morning. But again, we are in our final week of Think Outside the Box. And to start this message off, I want you to use your imagination, okay? So get those wheels turning. What if your bank account could talk? What if for some reason, physics, beyond that and beyond the laws of nature or whatever God instituted in the universe, somehow your bank account started sending emails to people? It decided to talk. Could you imagine what it would say? Man, this person loves Cold Stone. They practically live there. Or maybe another account would say, you know, recently I've checked my statements and I've seen a lot of Taco Bell. Because, and you know what? I think those nacho fries are back. Hallelujah. Or maybe we should see some little Jamaican grill or half aloha sprinkled in there somewhere, right? Maybe we should see that in there. But you know, I think all of us would agree that we wouldn't want that to happen. We wouldn't want that to happen because, you know, our finances are a part of our private life, right? It's private. You know, we wouldn't really want to share those things with anyone other than an accountant or maybe the person who prepares your taxes. Because, you know, what we do with our money is our business, right? What we do with our money is our business. But that's what we like to think. Because if we want to keep it real, if we really want to keep it real, what we do with our money is God's business. Let me say that again. What we do with our money is God's business. Come on. And that kind of brings a little fear of God right here. Because if we would humble ourselves and we would stand before God and he's telling us about our finances, would we hear a good report? Would he find us shrewd in how we manage our money? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Before we get into the word, let's pray. Lord Father, thank you for this series on finances. That you want to teach us more than just giving. It goes beyond just simply simple numbers and percentages and giving. It's about trust and faith in you and a relationship with you. So, Lord Father, as I give this message, I pray my words are yours. And that you would be lifted up and glorified today. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. So we're going to be looking in Luke 16. I believe it's verses 1 through 13. And here in Luke, we've come upon the time where Jesus is speaking to his disciples, and he tells them this parable of the shrewd manager. Let's read. Jesus told this story to his disciples. There was a certain rich man who had a manager handling his affairs. One day a report came that the manager was wasting his employer's money. So the employer called him in and said, what's this I hear about you? Get your report in order because you are going to be fired. The manager thought to himself, now what? My boss has fired me. I don't have the strength to dig ditches, and I'm too proud to beg. I know how to ensure that I'll have plenty of friends who will give me a home when I'm fired. So he invited each person who owed money to his employer to come and discuss the situation. He asked the first one, how much do you owe? The man replied, I owe him about 800 gallons of olive oil. So the manager told him, you know what, take that bill and quickly change it to 400. You owe 400 now. And how much do you owe my employer? He asked the next man. I owe him 1,000 bushels of wheat, was the reply. Here the manager said, take that bill and change it to 800 bushels. The rich man had to admire the dishonest rascal for being so shrewd. And it is true that the children of this world are more shrewd in dealing with the world around them than are the children of the light. Here's the lesson. Use your worldly resources to benefit others and make friends. Then, when your possessions are gone, they will welcome you to an eternal home. If you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful in large ones. But if you are dishonest in little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. And if you are untrustworthy about worldly wealth, who will trust you with the true riches of heaven? And if you are not faithful with other people's things, why should you be trusted with things of your own? No one can serve two masters, for you will hate one and love the other. You will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and be enslaved to money. Amen? All right, so before we go on, I just wanted to define the word shrewd. I just want to define that word because we don't hear it a lot. It's not in our vocabulary. I'm not like, well, that's a shrewd young fellow over there. We don't hear that. We don't hear that word. And I want to define it especially in this context. So shrewd, actually in verse 8 of the KJV, it says, and the Lord commended the unjust steward because he had done wisely. Okay? So in this context, shrewd means wise. And that's what we want to focus on today. Being shrewd or wise with the management of our money. And not so much the how, but the why. The why we should be wise with our money. Because, even with inflation going on. Even with the Fed just increasing the rate by 0.75 and 0.5 and 0.25 next year. Even when you check the news and you hear of certain markets on the verge of collapse, you see, if you follow the stock market, it's going up and down. If you follow the crypto market, you're hurting right now. If you follow the housing market, these markets don't look good. That's why we should be wise with the way we manage our money. And you could be a manager of little. You could come from humble beginnings. You might even say, you know what, I feel like I don't have hardly anything to give. What can I give? Or you may be a manager of a lot. You have a 401k, you got IRAs, you got multiple investments, multiple streams of income. The point is, no matter where you are on that spectrum, you have something to use to impact the world for the kingdom of God. Doesn't matter where you are on that spectrum, you have something you can use to impact this world for God. And as I was reading this scripture, there was something that really stuck out to me about this shrewd manager. It really grabbed my attention. It wasn't that he became wise, it was when he became wise. When he became wise. You know, he's at his job, he's not doing what he's supposed to do, and then he gets in trouble. All of a sudden, he wisens up. Even his employer commended him for being so shrewd. And the thing is, he wisened up when he saw that his livelihood was about to be taken from him. You know, we as people, it's sad that sometimes we as people do that. We like to all of a sudden really try to hang on something we're about to lose due to our neglect. Right? Our neglect, we're about to lose something, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay, I'll make things right. I'm gonna try to hold on to it. But what can we learn from this? Let's be wise from the start. Let's be wise from the start. If we want to truly impact the kingdom with our finances, let's be wise from the start. Not once we start seeing trouble on the horizon. And you know, there may be some of you in here that feel like you haven't been wise. So let this parable be an encouragement to you. It's never too late to start being wise. It's never too late. I mean, look at the manager. He wisened up. This could have been a totally different other story. He could have been said, you know, you're going to be fired. And then he said, you know what, I'm going to mess up your company. And it was fired. But he wisened up. So it's never too late. And I encourage you, decide today that you will manage your resources in a godly way. I encourage you to do that. I'm just going to give you some quick practical things to consider. Number one, just a couple. Give what God has placed on your heart. If you want to be wise with your money, one of the most important things you can do is give to God. Give to him. Give what he's placed on your heart, because he loves a cheerful giver. You know, when it comes to offering time in this church, it's not competition. There's not a competition that takes place during offering time. God is not up there saying, you know, I'm looking for the zeros. Who has the most zeros in life in the sun? He's not sitting up there looking at that. He's looking at your heart. He's looking at your motive. He's looking at how much faith you have to provide, for him to provide for you. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for a relationship because he knows money is to us. Certainly when we're struggling, we could hold on to those dollars and those zeros really tight. He's looking for your heart, your trust, your faith in him, not how much you're giving. Second, budget. Amen. Practical things, right? Budget. Do you have Excel or some form of worksheet? Open that thing up. Budget out your monthly expenses. This is how much it is for rent or mortgage. How much do I need for food? Budget it out. And those things will help with, if you're in debt, that's going to help you get out of debt. Because you're going to see where your money is going. And while you're looking at that, if at all possible, try to build up an emergency fund. Because life happens. I can't tell you how many times we need something because something happened. And it's like, you know what? I didn't foresee this expense. But that's why you have that emergency fund, or what we like to call a cushion. And if you can, learn how to invest. Learn how to invest. Try to build generational wealth. As we are working on our finances, we must always remember this. Verse 13. No one can serve two masters, for you will hate one and love the other. You will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and be enslaved to money. We can't have two masters. The love of money is the root of all evil. What can we learn from this? Don't let your money master you. You master it. Don't let money control you. You control it. You control it. Because money is a tool, and, the world respects money. The world sees the dollar signs, and they're in awe with it because of the potential power it can hold and give anyone. We see these men in the world, they couldn't hold anything in an MMA ring. But man, they got zeros in the bank. They got millions and millions and billions of dollars. And what do they hold in the world's eye? Power. Because they have money. They can make things move. Money can give us a lot of things. It could give us cars, luxury homes, the newest, latest, greatest phone, the OLED TV I want. It could give us a lot of things. It could give us favor with man. Someone knows you got a lot of money. Hey, man, hey, brother. You know what? You looking good today, man. How you doing? I was just thinking about you. It can give you favor with man, but it cannot buy favor with God. Money will never buy you favor with God. To have that favor of God, you got to be his son or his daughter. You got to be seeking him. You got to be in a relationship with him. You got to know him. That's how you have the favor of God in your life. So through God's leading, we can use money or other worldly resources he has given us to advance the kingdom of God in such a way that the world must take notice. How many of you have seen, a Christian movie, right? Have you seen a Christian B movie? B movie. Sadly to say, some of these Christian movies are not up to par. There's spotty acting and, the cinematics are not that great. You're watching it for the message, but, there's some that it's hard to watch. Like for example, me and my wife, we rented one of these movies, and I forgot the name. And we had to encourage each other to finish the movie. There was one particular actor that was like making me cringe. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so bad. And I'm like, this had to be someone else out there. And I was like, babe, I don't know if I can do this. She was like, just hold on. There's a message in it. Okay. 30 minutes go past. He's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do it. I said, let's just hold on and wait. Let's see what happens. I want to see what happens now. You encourage me. But one of the greatest examples of how we can use our finances to impact the world for Jesus is, I think, The Chosen. Come on. Okay. Because you know that every episode is produced by donations. If you have the Chosen app, you can give on there. And they'll tell you where the donation is at to produce that next episode. So when you look at The Chosen, it's excellent. It rivals any of the secular studios out there. The acting is on point. The cinematics, the filter they have on the film. It looks professional. It looks good. You wouldn't think that the bar was lowered in any expense. That's a great example. And, I remember that they had this special where they had a bunch of random people come and binge watch The Chosen. I don't know if some of you saw that. So some were believers, some were former believers, some were just, not believers at all. And it was kind of like they were documenting their reactions to what was going on in the series. And at the end of it all, there was not one bad thing said about it. No one said, oh, I didn't like that acting, or, you had people bawling, crying in there. There's many other things we could give to. We could give thousands or even tens. But we have something we can use to impact this world. And we must do it now. Let's look at verse 9. Here's the lesson. Use your worldly resources to benefit others and make friends. Then when your possessions are gone, they will welcome you to an eternal home. I was reading some commentary, and David Guzik says this about verse 9. He says, the world is filled with financial planners and advisors, and it is good for Christians to learn how to use their money wisely. But when most Christians talk about wise money management, they forget to practice the most important kind of long-term investing with an eye to eternity, an everlasting home. The important thing is to invest your resources for the Lord now. Most of us wait until the day when we think we will have enough. There was a study I found on CBS News website. It was done in 2020, and the headline read this: is the American dream possible? It is if you earn $500,000 a year. That's a lot of money. And I think most of us don't fall in that category. The study found this: nearly 3/4 of the top 1% of income earners in the U.S. think they've reached this classic, somewhat hazy benchmark of economic success and independence. The love of money. Only 75% of the 1%. 25% think they haven't made it yet. The love of money. By contrast, only 37% of those in the middle class believe they're living the dream. See, what good are the resources if we're not using them? What good are they? You know, in our own wisdom, sometimes we feel like we have to have this big round number that we achieve before we can even do something to impact this world on. We have to have a certain number of resources or contacts. But if all we do is save and save and sit on it, it will do nothing for the kingdom. Now, there is a disclaimer. Of course, there's some things that you have to wait for. There's some things that do take time if you want to accomplish it in excellence. If you want to be excellent, some things do take time. You can't just quickly do it. Or what I'm trying to say is making an impact now with what we have does not mean we take shortcuts or do things in a poor manner just so that we can get it done. Be as excellent as you can be with what you have. And if you can't be excellent with what you have, maybe the best option is to patiently wait. It's just something to consider. Because, maybe you should wait. As you can see there, I think on the right, I'm not sure if anyone wants to use that bathroom. You know what? I saw that picture and I laughed for 5 minutes. That is not a very well-designed bathroom. Don't take shortcuts, you know? Don't take shortcuts. If you have to have a certain amount or have certain resources, it may be best to wait. But nonetheless, we have something we can use to impact for God. In the little things, let's be faithful. When it comes to worldly wealth, let's be trustworthy. And in whatever God chooses to bless us with, let's make sure we use it to make an impact now for his kingdom. Amen? Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for your wisdom when it comes to finances. Thank you for the promises we find in your word, where you dare us to give to you because we cannot outgive you. Lord Father, I pray that you continually provide for everyone in here, for everyone listening. And Lord Father, that we would know that our provision is in you, not in our own strength, not in our own skills and our own talents. Yes, there's practical things we must do on this earth. We have to be good at what we do. But God, you're the one that gives gifts. You give discipline and you provide, Lord Father. You're the one that provides for us. I pray today, Lord Father, that no matter where we are in the spectrum, whether we've started or haven't, that you give us a desire to manage our money wisely, for us to be shrewd managers of our wealth. And Lord Father, that we would have what we need. And sometimes you bless us with what we want. because you love us. But Lord Father, that we would have a goal in mind to impact this world with whatever you have blessed us with for you, for your kingdom. Because it's about spreading you through this earth. It's about spreading your light against the darkness that is trying to envelop everything around us. It's about you. It's about your gospel and your love for people. So help us be shrewd managers today. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.